That's our friend, high-profile lawyer Ben Crump. And the last thing you want is him 3 inches up your tailpipe, okay? That's from our friends at Fox 10. So this is where it stands. Who left him there? Is there really a Katie? Did he stay with her? Did he leave with his friends? How did he end up there alone, which I find very, very disturbing. And also, back to Caitlin Becker joining us, senior national correspondent, New York Post, star of NY Postcast. The Postcast instead of podcast, it's a Postcast. Caitlin, now allegations have reared their ugly head that his phone has been tampered with and items have been deleted. Explain. Nolan Wells bombshell tonight. The dead teen's messages deleted after his body washes ashore. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
18-year-old football star Nolan Wells heads to Horn Island with his friends to celebrate the 4th of July. But hours later, after he doesn't return to shore, his friends report him missing, launching a desperate search across the water.
They met that day, and it's kind of one of those things. It did come off that day that he really did like her, but that was the only time they'd ever hung out was at Horn Island on July 4th.
We're sinking. Can you all please come?
And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's on board.
From our friends at GMA, no, everyone was not on board. Nolan was not on board. And who's the mysterious girl he met for the very first time the day he goes missing? His body spotted by the United Cajun Navy, washed ashore. We have obtained that photo. We are choosing tonight not to show it. That last sound from our friends at NBC joining me in all-star panel, but first straight out to Todd Terrell, representing the United Cajun Navy, participating in the water search for Nolan Wells. Todd, thank you for being with us. What did you observe?
You know, Horn Island, that area right there is an area that we have seaplanes that we operate back and forth to the island, taking people back and forth fishing, or oil field workers, you know, back off to rigs and stuff. That morning, the body was observed on the northwest portion of Horn Island, which is not unusual for someone to drown and be washed up in that area. There was a park ranger that was on the island that actually had spotted the body, and we were calling in down to law enforcement officials on the ground what we saw from the air.
Todd Terrell joining us from the United Cajun Navy, called in to participate in the water search for this young star athlete, Nolan Wells. Tonight, mystery swirling around his death. How is it that a group of his friends go out on a boat? They go to a remote Horn Island. There is nobody there. It's uninhabited. There are no phones. There are no bathrooms. It's just a hangout place. How does he end up dead on the shore and everybody else makes it back? I want you to hear one more time what the group is saying about that day.
They met that day, and it's kind of one of those things. It did come off that day that he really did like her, but that was the only time they'd ever hung out was at Horn Island on July 4th.
From our friends at GMA, who is she? Where is she? What, if anything, did she have to do, if there is a she, with Nolan's death? That's from our friends at GMA. Back to you, Todd Terrell. And I'm about to go to Caitlin Becker, a senior national correspondent, New York Post, on the story from the get-go. Todd, you stated to me that it's, quote, not unusual for bodies to wash ashore in that spot. What do you mean by that? Because if it was that common, wouldn't this be designated a dangerous area and there would be warning signs? What do you mean it's not unusual? I find that hard to believe.
Well, many areas along the coast of the whole Gulf Coast area is a dangerous area. You know, I don't believe they could put up signs anywhere. I think it should be known that these are bad areas. The rip current is very bad in that northwestern portion. We call it the washing machine, actually. It's an area where the current just rolls round and round in there, like kind of like a washing machine. And one of the interesting things was where Nolan was found was probably pretty close to where the incident occurred. So the body didn't go that far.
Okay, what incident? Was there an incident? Are you suggesting Todd Terrell, joining us tonight from the United Cajun Navy, our friends, by the way, at the United Cajun Navy. They are called in on many missing persons case. Todd, you stated the incident. What incident? You mean he didn't drown?
We're saying that whatever happened, we're calling an incident. Our job as United Cajun Navy is to bring people home back to their families, first of all, alive. Second of all, recover the body if possible. We knew in this case, the time frame that was involved, that we were looking for a recovery at this point. But when I said the incident, something happened to make Nolan not be with us anymore. It appears as though it was a drowning. You know, there was a lot of rumors about him being brought back to the land 10 miles away and you know, brought back out there and dumped off. I don't believe any of that is true. Whatever happened in that water, we're calling the incident. You know, the water goes from 2 to 3 foot to like 20 feet real quick.
Questions about how this happened. Was there anyone else on Horn Island when Nolan's body was found?
Now, there was the park ranger was out there, and there was some law enforcement officials that actually had their boats anchored out there. You know, they were kind of like waiting around for a call of what to do. What people don't realize is when you're looking for a body on the water, especially in the Gulf where you have waves going and you have white caps, it's a little bit harder to see. When you're in a boat, you can only kind of see the vicinity around you. So when we put these seaplanes up in the air, we can get a much more visual of the much more bigger area. And these seaplanes can go low and slow. So what we do is we stay in contact with the officials on the ground and tell them what we see. And if they see something too, they can relay it up to us and we can go investigate it. So in this case, there were several law enforcement boats that were just kind of hanging out in the area on the island. And there was numerous other boats in the area, you know, circling and looking. But the body was found by a park ranger as it washed up on the beach.
You know, I'm very curious, Todd. Guys, joining us, Todd Terrell with United Cajun Navy. When I said, was anyone else on the island when Nolan's body was found? Your answer was completely 100% accurate, but let me rephrase and refine my question. You're saying the park ranger found him. That leads me to believe there were no friends. There was no newly met girlfriend. So am I left to believe that he goes out swimming all on his own and the friend girl leaves, the mates from school leave, everybody just leaves him out in the water and he dies and then just conveniently washes ashore? Somebody just left him out in the water? Does that make sense to you, Todd Terrell?
Well, you know, being a person that goes to this island and several other areas that you can only get to by boat. We have some restaurants and bars in Louisiana that you can only get to by boat, which means you have to hitch a ride with somebody on a boat or that has a boat to get there, which a lot of things could go wrong in that scenario. But as far as what we believe, I believe that Nolan went out there with a group of friends. They were friendly, obviously so, because he was even out there. I mean, you got to understand, to go to an island, you have to have a boat, which means you have to have friends, which you have to have people that kind of like you to even bring you out there. He could have, you know, had this girl he was talking to. He could have just, for whatever reason, decided to stay. Not uncommon. That doesn't give us any reason to think foul play or anything was involved there. The issue is, when he stayed on the island, he had to hitch a ride back in with somebody. And there's where the issue becomes, who did he hitch a ride back in exactly? How were these people connected to him? How did they know him? And it's not uncommon for you not to know somebody at all and just say, hey, I need a ride back in. And they say, yeah, come on, get in the boat with us. So if I say, hey, Nancy, come on, get in the boat with us, that means at that point we're responsible for you.
But Todd, here's my issue. Again, I agree with what you said, but the critical moment is somebody had to leave him there alone for the rest of the scenario that you're describing to unfold. He had to be alone. And Todd, and I'm going to bring in the rest of the panel, I want you to hear this. That is from Anna Moore on Snapchat, and you have to listen very intently to hear what she claims is being said. Todd Terrell, United Cajun Navy, please don't move. Joining me now, Caitlin Becker, the senior national correspondent, New York Post. She is the star of New York Post Cast. New York Post Cast. That's her podcast. Caitlin, thank you for being with us. Now, according to what this Anna Moore on Snapchat has revealed, you can hear, and this is also according to the attorneys, "Give me my effing phone." This is Nolan reportedly talking. What the F are you doing? The friend, they claim, Tristan Shepard. I can't tell that from what I'm hearing. The friend says, "Get off me. Get the F off this boat. F you, bro." Now, the voice we believe is Nolan's is, "Give my effing phone. What the F are you doing?" And then another voice, "Get off me. Get the F off this boat. F you." Okay. What do we know? And Caitlin Becker, joining us from New York Post, who is this mysterious friend girl? Because I want to talk to her.
I want to talk to her too, Nancy. The video is tough. The Snapchat is really tough because you do clearly hear an angry altercation. There is the assumption that we're working off of that it is Nolan. However, a few other friends have confirmed it's not Nolan. There's actually someone who said it was me, not him. So you have someone coming forward saying that is not him on the video. So then did no altercation actually take place, or is someone jumping in saying that's me to misdirect or to redirect us from looking at it? That's the one question. The other question that you asked is, who's the girl? Her name is apparently, allegedly, Katie. That's kind of all we know, just Katie. Someone purporting to be related to Katie went on social media, and this is not something that we've been able to confirm, nor have investigators confirmed it. But according to this person, Katie said, "We met, we talked. He seemed like he was going back on the boat with his friends, and that was that." So Katie...
Okay, hold on right there. Caitlin Becker. Caitlin. Right there. The girl, if she exists, says they talked, they chatted it up, probably flirting with each other, if accounts are true. Then he leaves to go back to the boat with his friends. But according to the friends, he stayed with her. Right there, that is a conflict. That doesn't fit. Now, Caitlin Becker and the rest of the panel, I want you to hear this.
Is that Nolan in the video?
I can't tell. It's too far away. But in that video, I feel like the voices are too clear. Like from the side, it's too clear for it to be that far away, for it to be Nolan arguing. And then also that altercation, it sounds just like my other friend that got into the altercation on the boat. And they were trying to, like, as he was in that altercation, I was calming him down. They were trying to get him out off the island. They were trying to get him back to land because he was just losing it.
Okay, so you've got, that's from our friend Harvey Levin at TMZ. So you've got half the people saying that is Nolan that's in an altercation and is getting thrown off the boat. And then you got half the people going, oh, no, that's not him. But to me, the clear problem is that critical moment where Katie, if she exists, says he went back with his friends. And the friends say, oh, no, we left. He wanted to stay with her. Right there. That is the first conflict. Both cannot be true. Those cannot mutually exist in truth. They're mutually exclusive. He can't go with them and stay with her on Horn Island. Right there, John Mobley joining me, high-profile lawyer out of Charleston, South Carolina. John, that's where it starts. That lie. I don't know who's lying, but somebody's lying. Right there, Mobley.
Well, I don't know that I would necessarily agree with you on that. I think they can be both partially true depending on perspective. I think one thing we have to kind of keep in mind with this is we have a lot of different people telling things from different perspectives, from their own individual perspectives. It's certainly conceivable that he let his friend leave to stay with the female, if he was with the female, assuming that happened. And once he finished his communication or whatever he was doing with the female, told her he was leaving to go back with his friends. And from her standpoint, he said he was going back with his friends, which did not necessarily mean they were the same friends that dropped him off. So I would disagree with you on that.
Hold on. Mobley. Let me see Mobley. Mobley, you're right. Because, as I've told many, many juries, as a trial judge once always said in his jury instructions, it is your duty to make all witnesses speak the truth and impugn perjury to no one. So actually what you're saying could be true. If there's another group of friends, if they exist, we haven't heard about him, but you're saying he left with one group and had planned to come back with another group. Okay, I don't know if you're just spinning that out, but that could be possible. Okay, Mobley, listen to this.
You said that you hear on the video Nolan saying,
Yes.
my freaking phone, what are you freaking doing?
That's what a witness told us, and that's what we reported out. Then another witness had come forward and said, no, that was his voice. We have other witnesses who said there were other altercations. So, as Mr. Hurt said, we're trying to go through it all and so forth. And we'll be even more careful to say this is what a witness told us in the future.
And so your team hasn't been able to look fully into that and confirm whether it was or was not Nolan that said
No,
that?
we have audio people doing it, but we know certain people said it was him, and then certain people said it was not him.
That is our friend, high-profile lawyer Ben Crump. And the last thing you want is him 3 inches up your tailpipe, okay? That's from our friends at Fox 10. So this is where it stands. Who left him there? Is there really a Katie? Did he stay with her? Did he leave with his friends? How did he end up there alone, which I find very, very disturbing.